Collecting is not just hoarding hobby. Collecting is about learning about the past.
很多东西我们都可以给它一个 second life.
Even though my father isn't around, he still motivates me to do better in life.
My main thing is to pass on to the younger generation so they can see the beauty of toys from the past.
清晨的嘉东广场，工人忙着搭建帐篷，为每月第一个周末的怀旧市集揭开序幕。各摊位以整装待发，迎接前来寻宝的客人。
Good morning, Singapore. Good morning, Katong and Juliet. My name is Gary Tan. I'm the founder of the Retro Factory, and the Katong Square Lifestyle and Vintage Market is home to our monthly vintage market.
8年前，陈胜林设立了怀旧市集。市集汇集约60个摊位，摊主均为收藏家，出售他们精心珍藏的二手物品，包括衣服、手工艺品、唱片以及各种古玩。
I love music. I love the vintage lifestyle. So I collect anything to do with music and the vintage lifestyle. Lifestyle meaning this shirt I'm wearing is from the 1970s. One of my favorite things to collect are music machines and gramophones. I've taken out one of my picnic gramophones today.
陈胜林年轻时曾留学澳大利亚，深受当地旧货市集的吸引。
I was a real flea market aficionado. I would visit every single market. The surprise element of looking for what you want and finally finding it at the market. It's not like an online shop. You see, feel, touch, smell the item, and you know what you're buying, and you find all sorts of treasures to your heart's content.
旧货市集是最易探索当地文化的地方。学成归国后， 陈胜林在本地找不到具有特色的旧货市集，深感惋惜。
When Sungai Road ceased operations in mid-2017, we were all very disheartened because that was the meeting place, the hunting ground for real Singapore heritage items. We're losing a part of history. We thought, and finally we took the jump and we started our own vintage market.
陈胜林肩负延续怀旧文化市集的使命，为了凸显怀旧元素。 他在布置上用心打造，让到访者沉浸在浓厚的怀旧氛围中。
Yeah, so under the tentage as well, because that keeps the rain away. Initially, we designed these push carts, which were an exact replica of a pre-war Singapore pushcart. They have a canvas top as well as a curtain behind to pull down when it rains in inclement weather. After that, we started going into commercial tents, but these tents, they don't last very long, perhaps due to the poorer quality or perhaps due to the inclement weather, the sun, the rainfall. So after the initial batch of tents, we started upgrading to an even newer and more sophisticated, perhaps, kind of tentage. And we'll wait and see if it lasts longer than the previous generation.
有了棚下舒适的环境，陈胜林希望吸引更多客人前来寻宝，为这些二手物品找到新的主人。
We really hope to promote sustainability as well as to conserve and preserve heritage for Singapore. So what we try to create here is a bit of an Australian flea market where people will drag their trailer of items from their garage, a mixture of everything. Comics, you got some lab equipment, kitchenware or glassware from the 1940s, old vinyl records in the 60s and 70s. It is our lifetime mission to rescue, salvage, and give these items a good second home.
陈胜林推崇的环保理念，成功吸引了众多访客。
We have a very cosmopolitan and a very good mix of regular visitors, vendors, customers, yep, young and old, rich and poor, people from all over the world.
I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
I'm from China, Inner Mongolia.
我是马来西亚沙劳越来的。
我来自台湾彰化，
台湾台南。
From Turkey.
From Indonesia.
嘉东怀旧市集吸引了各类收藏家，有收藏玩具、餐具的，也有特邀 DJ 和魔术师现场表演，增添了不少活力。当然，还有年轻收藏家前来出示身手，开启他们的生意旅程。
我的名字是朱少杰。
我的名叫Cherry 林丽珠。
我们在嘉东怀旧世纪卖黑胶唱片，卖了大概1年了。
朱少杰是一名大学助教，他留着一头长发，造型与一般教职员截然不同，喜爱的音乐类型也与同龄人有所不同。
女郎，为什么不知还会在海浪？
我小时候，我的爸爸在车里会播那种旧歌，我就慢慢熟悉这种老歌，我慢慢欣赏，慢慢喜欢听啊。
由于喜爱经典歌曲，朱少杰开始收藏黑胶唱片，也因此结识了林丽珠。
那时候我们在那个 Facebook 爱唱片的爱好者的group， 然后我问他如果要去买唱片嘛，我们就在那边第一次见面。
黑胶唱片成了他们的媒人，让他们走到了一起。对林丽珠来说，这尤为不易，因为性格内向的她并不擅长交朋友。
我是一个很孤单的人，我没有很多的朋友。我觉得音乐是我的 best friend。
林丽珠的音乐启蒙源自于她热爱音乐的父母。
我妈妈、爸爸以前很喜欢听音乐，我们的家里很安静的，我们没有说很多话，只是我们会听音乐。
林丽珠的父亲是华裔印度教徒，热爱古典印度音乐。在父亲的影响下，林丽珠对印度弦乐器斯塔产生了兴趣。
Before COVID, I actually started the sitar for around 2 years, but I stopped because it was very stressful. 我的爸爸 he wasn't happy that I quit the sitar classes. 他是一个 very motivated 的人。如果I never finish something, right, 他会很不开心的。He will motivate me to finish something. He will try his best. But I was quite stubborn. 我爸爸 actually passed away during COVID. After that, I just promised him that I'll try my best in everything I do.
父亲的离世让林丽珠心中充满了遗憾，她下定决心要完成父亲对她的期望。
我现在开这个黑胶唱片的店。My father has always wanted me to do my own business. After 4 years, I felt that I did live up to his promise. I actually never knew that I could open a store because I never had the self-confidence to do it on my own. But when I think of father, it gave me the strength to open a store. So in a way, even though my father isn't around, he still motivates me to do better in life.
起初是父亲培养了他对音乐的热爱，如今音乐成了他缅怀父亲的一种方式。怀旧市集拥有众多忠实支持者，每个月的市集他们都会前来捧场，其中就包括陈胜林的父亲。
Hey Gary, how are you? Okay. Yeah. My name is Andrew Tan. I'm 81 years old, and I'm the father of Gary.
My dad, he's a collector When I was a little kid, my dad used to bring me on treasure hunting around the region, and we'd buy oddities and curiosities, furniture, all sorts of antiques, and bring them back and restore them.
Well, I generally loved antique when I was a young man. And from the encouragement of the antique that I received from my late grandfather, I became more interested in antique collection, especially furnitures. Gary is very, very much influenced by me. Yeah, we are very good bondage because of our common interests.
Dad and my mom will come visit every Sunday when we have a market going on. So it's good family bonding time.
He's busy with his work and, we don't have a chance to see him often. So this is the only place that I can tie him down and catch hold of him and have a good time together. I still buy because we got to support our vendors here. Well, I'm glad that he started this flea market. He has been very successful. Well, I'm very proud of it.
市集不仅吸引顾客全家同游，摊主也常携家人一起摆摊，如售卖手工艺品的林玉兰母女。
我是Regina 林玉兰，我今年50岁，我喜欢收集就是复古的一些旧餐具，把它改造成多层托盘。当我开始这个 Simply R&J 的这个 business，R 当然是我的名字 Regina， 然后 J 是我小女儿。
林玉兰曾是一名热爱工作的会计师，由于工作繁忙，她很少时间陪伴孩子。
我在 COVID 之前呢，是在一个跨国公司做一个亚太的财务总监，我什么都管。可能就在家里一样，我什么都要管，压力就很大。工作了大概30年吧，我就做了一个很大的一个step， 就是我决定就把多一点时间放在家人身上。
林玉兰辞职时正值女儿准备小6会考，她得以全程陪伴。会考结束后，她带着女儿一起摆摊，不仅希望能多陪伴她，还希望借此机会让女儿接触更广阔的世界。
我一开始就感到很不习惯，因为他在公司的职位蛮高，所以他和同事交流时会很严肃，但他现在摆摊位时跟顾客交流时会很友善。
给我一个机会跟女儿说，不等于每个人跟你说什么都是sincere。
没有一个人跟我说，他们放工后会回来买我们的东西，但我等了一整天，他还没回来，我就很伤心，就是以为每个人跟我们交流会很 honest。
那一个星期，他跟我 pop up， 其实我作为一个妈妈的，也教了他很多做人的一些道理。
除了在棚下讨生活，这里也成了林玉兰与女儿共度珍贵母女时光的地方。
这10年来，当然有上有下，遇到很多欣赏我作品的人，有一些没有给你这个认可，当然那些就会使你就很伤心。最开心的就是给人家看这些我们新加坡旧的货品的一个新的一个看法。很多东西我们都可以给它一个 second life， 给它一个 upcycle， 所以真的是一个 sustainable lifestyle。
户外摆摊最怕的就是变幻莫测的天气，若天不作美，骤然下雨，摊主们便需要赶紧收拾货品，以防被淋湿。
在棚下挑战很多，因为如果天气太热，我们就会一直流汗，很热。下雨呢，我们就要快点收摊。然后如果风太大，也有一些纸一些东西都要把它收起来。
The weather today is not very kind to us, you know. When it rains, we cover up with waterproof tarps or canvas. When the sun comes up, we open again. Richard, how are you? So I hope the rain isn't dropping on your precious collectibles.
My name is Richard Tan. I'm 67 years old this year. I run a flea market store specializing in toys.
Wow, I love this, Muhammad Ali.
My father used to work for a Dutch company. They actually bring in toys. You bring samples home for me to play. So from there, my love of toys got started.
玩具有了玩伴一起玩才更有趣。陈基元非常幸运，有一个从小形影不离的玩伴。
Actually, I have a twin brother. I'm older by about 20 minutes. My brother name is Robert. When we were young, we of course very much similar. I collect toys, he also collect toys. These are all my collection. You notice the Shell logo is an old logo. So I go to places like Sungai Road, Club Street, started collecting, and then he saw also, then started following also lah. I'm into watches, LPs, magazines, all kinds of things. I'm more addicted than him. Usually he focused on toys.
Okay, rolling. Who is the smarter one? Who's the more patient one? Who's the more naughty one?
Naughty. No, don't know. Both of us naughty.
陈基元的家族中有双胞胎遗传基因，他的姑姑也是一对双胞胎。由于母亲在生下兄弟俩后身体虚弱，这对双胞胎兄弟分别由2位双胞胎姑姑照顾。如今姑姑已过世，陈基元为了感念姑姑的养育之恩，将他的40多套娘惹服细心珍藏，作为对姑姑的怀念。
This is a special collection. The kebaya from my auntie that I inherited. Yeah. My intention is to actually exhibit this with a code because majority of people will normally exhibit the high-end kebaya for function and wedding dinners and so on. But here you see a lot of the daily use one.
陈基元原本是珠宝技师，但因热爱玩具，后来在玩具博物馆工作近20年，一边赚钱，一边收藏玩具。然而，由于没有子女继承，他为藏品的归宿感到烦恼。
You can see the price tag is still there, $2.60. Remember I said I have to save 70 cents for 1 week, more than 3 weeks just for this car. I love it so much. I think most collectors can identify with it that the wife do not like their husband to collect too much things. So because at my age, the wife will say, what happens if you die? I'll throw away everything. So that hit me lah. Then it's time I set up shop again, you know. And again, my main thing is actually, honestly, is to pass on to the younger generation, so they can see the beauty of toys from the past. The feeling of letting go toys, beginning of course quite hard lah, because sometimes you cannot buy back these things that you have for so many years. But then again, you have to think in terms of, you know, you are giving it to someone else who will preserve it for another 20, 30 years.
陈基元在怀旧市集最大的心愿，是为他珍藏的玩具找到有缘人，让这些玩具的生命得以延续。最后一天的市集迎来了压轴的表演嘉宾。
Hello, hi. My name is Edna G.
爱心魔法师翁伟杰，曾是嘉东怀旧市集最早期的摊主之一，通过变魔术谋生。
Thank you very much. 当时我是个街头艺人，我也是个流浪汉，没有家，到处跑，到处睡。所以我睡醒呢，我就找看哪里有地方可以变点魔术，跳这个舞，来赚一点吃的。Everywhere。然后那时候也是动很多不同的毒品，昏昏沉沉的，当时是这样的一个情况。我要一个更好的人生。
在人生的低潮期，翁伟杰遇到了陈设林，这一相遇成为他人生的转折点。
他无私的帮每一个人。当时我刚起步也是，他觉得我需要帮助，他也让我在这里摆摊，他也让我在这里变魔术。I want to say your appearance come from inside one. Really,
Internalize.
I want nobody in this world is perfect.
Okay.
But if there's somebody almost perfect, this is the somebody.
No, you're too kind, Daddy. We need more kindness in this world, and Energy is a very kind person.
So this is my role model. 谢谢你们哦，有今天的爱妻魔法师，都是因为有你们。
翁伟杰的人生因为遇到陈胜林而重启了第二次机会。怀旧市集里的20物品，也在等待有缘人为他们提供第二次机会，将他们带回家，续写新的故事。
Collecting is not just hoarding hobby, yeah. Collecting is about learning about the past, conserving heritage, and preserving vintage.
所以我很感恩，我有这个机会，在这个棚下来给观众看我的旧物改造的一个创意品。
很开心，可以跟很多顾客谈音乐，跟他们交朋友啊。
You see your customer eye light up. This is something that you cannot put a price on.
3天的怀旧市集圆满落幕，珍藏找到新主人，故事继续延续。帐篷拆下，喧嚣散去，期待下个月再聚，共享旧物情怀。